Hello my darlings, I hope you're all doing very, very well. I hope you are sitting comfortably, you are cozy, and you have your snacks and your beverages at the ready. In today's video, we'll be talking about a very interesting topic and something that is affecting the tattoo industry worldwide as of now. All over TikTok, there is content creators talking about a tattoo recession. As we all know, and maybe be affected by the fact that there is a cost of living crisis at the moment. That's pretty much all that is talked about on the news as of late, unless it's the general election, but there is a lot of awareness to the fact that living is incredibly expensive. I mean, it always has been expensive for the past couple of decades anyway, but right now bills are sky high, rent is sky high, mortgage is sky high, and your everyday needs is also sky high. Food is incredibly expensive, and unless you are rich, you have probably been affected by the cost of living crisis, or at least noticed how expensive things have got nowadays. But, you know, businesses are becoming incredibly greedy and it's affecting literally everybody, again, unless you are rich. So with everything becoming more expensive, that leaves little to no money for fun things like tattoos. Tattoos are what I would call a luxury item. Of course, they're not a 5-star 2-week holiday in Bora Bora, but they are still something that you don't need to survive. This is obviously a big case for a lot of people. A lot of people need to prioritize their rent, mortgage, bills, food over fun things like tattoos, which then leads to less people getting tattooed. And then that has a knock-on effect to the people that create tattoos, the tattoo artists. Tattoo artists, for the most part, are self-employed. That means there is no businesses employing them. There is no businesses paying their wages. There is no sick pay. There is no holiday pay. As a self-employed person, your finances are up to you. So if you do not tattoo, you do not get paid. So if clients don't show up or cancel, that means the tattoo artist doesn't make any money unless they have a deposit policy. But sometimes clients will cancel, 2 or 3 days before the appointment, which is in the deposit allowance, which then means the tattoo artist has to give back the client their deposit unless they have a no refund policy. But most artists will return a deposit to their client if they cancel within a certain amount of time. And then if that tattoo artist can't fill up that space that has been cancelled, then that artist doesn't make money. Christmas has always been dubbed cancellation season within the tattoo industry. Some clients will book tattoos around the Christmas period and kind of forget that it is the Christmas period and then realize that, oh gosh, all of my fun money has to go on other people and, with gifts, food, beverages and all of that stuff. So then they don't have money for tattoos and then they cancel on tattoo artists. Most tattoo artists, when they go into the tattoo industry, are very much aware of this. They kind of mentally prepare themselves and financially prepare themselves for the Christmas period. But now tattoo artists are living a all year round Christmas season. Cancellations are up much higher now. I follow obviously a lot of tattoo artists and daily I see multiple tattoo artists saying that they have some space become free because someone's cancelled, and obviously sometimes people cancel for personal reasons, not financial reasons.
I'm sick.
But I myself have definitely seen an increase of tattoo artists announce that they have free space and cancellations. The first TikTok that I saw about this tattoo recession is from a content creator named Dominique.
If you are on tattoo TikTok, you've seen stuff about this tattoo recession that artists are talking about.
After seeing Dominique's TikTok, I just went down a rabbit hole and I started looking at all of this content in relation to this tattoo recession. I found an array of TikToks from mainly tattoo artists talking about what the core problem of this tattoo recession could be. And surprisingly, most of them don't think it's because of the cost of living crisis, but there's actually some other things going on. One TikTok that I stumbled across is from this account called Tattoo Red Flags. There's no name listed anywhere. I did try and watch some of their content to find their actual name, but I couldn't find one, so we're just going to call this person Red. Okay, they are now deemed Red. In this TikTok, Red talks about their thoughts on this tattoo recession.
Are we in a tattoo recession? Let's talk about it. I believe so, yes. And I know that there's a lot of factors that go into it. However, I've been seeing some TikTok videos that have kind of opened my eyes to another factor that I did not even see coming on the horizon. First of all, the economy is shit. The tattoo market is incredibly saturated. People are doing this shit at home because they can't afford it.
As we are talking about a recession, I obviously want to talk about the cost of things first because I feel like that is very important. Like I said, most tattoo artists are self-employed. That means they have to pay for everything. You have to cover your equipment costs, so things like tattoo machines, tattoo inks, and then you've got disposables like gloves and needles, and all of that racks up over time. Some tattoo studios will provide disposables, but some won't. Some tattoo artists have to fend for themselves and others not so much. It depends per studio, but you know, with the inks and the machines, they are themselves very, very expensive. Then, of course, if you work in a tattoo studio, you then have to rent your booth or chair, and that is sometimes very expensive. And then of course, if you factor in all of the equipment that you have probably used and have to replace, tattoo artists honestly end up not making that much money. You may think tattoos are expensive, but there's a reason as to why they're expensive, because you are covering the cost of everything. I come across this TikTok of a tattoo artist talking about the fact that there is a lot of tattoo artists quitting as of late. In this TikTok, she discusses the cost of being a tattoo artist also.
Next reason I think people are quitting tattooing is they don't realise it's fucking expensive. Like, it is expensive. We have to give a large cut of our money to the studio at the end of the day, wherever you're working, or you have to buy all your supplies. Fortunately, where I work, my supplies are included, but I do pay quite a high cut to the studio. So it's not like every penny that you earn goes straight in your pocket. It is expensive. And honestly, the industry right now, I really try not to focus on this too much, but it's definitely quieter than it has been in the past. When I was first tattooing, I was booked for like 2-3 months ahead always. Now I definitely have a lot more availability, but I charge more to make sure I compensate for it.
Like this tattoo artist said, she has had to put up her prices to accommodate the fact that she isn't tattooing as much anymore. This, of course, is very understandable, and she has every right to do this. Every artist has the right to charge what they think they are worth and, you know, make it so that they can continue to be a tattoo artist. But then this affects tattoo clients. Now that tattoos are more expensive, tattoo clients are now having to save a bit more money, or they just simply cannot afford to get tattooed right now. I've always been one to support tattoo artists for charging what they're worth, but in my opinion, sometimes prices do get a little bit silly. This, of course, isn't directed at this TikTok content creator. This is just a generalization. I come across this TikTok from a content creator by the name of Jonsky. In this TikTok, Jonsky, he's basically complaining about how expensive tattoos are nowadays.
I'm gonna piss some people off with this, but I really don't care. Tattoo prices and tattoo culture in 2024 fucking sucks. Personally, I don't give a fuck how many Flannels and Joy Division albums you own. I'm not paying you $300 an hour for a traditional tattoo. And to clarify, I have no problem paying people what they're worth. But not for 1 second can you convince me that someone who's been tattooing 3 years or less is worth $300 an hour. Now, let me tell you a little story. This week, I reached out to about 10 people because I was looking to get a tattoo. A traditional tattoo about the size of my palm. Now, I did get some good quotes. I'm not saying all my quotes were bad, but most of them were absolutely fucking ridiculous. I got quoted as high as $2,000. Now, unless you're removing my gallbladder while we're doing this tattoo, you need to check yourself into a mental hospital.
I don't think you'll ever catch me spending $2,000 on a palm-sized traditional tattoo. There is no tattoo artists out there that I like that much. I'd be willing to pay that for like a half sleeve or a full sleeve, absolutely, but for something this small, no, that's just extortionate and crazy to me. Obviously, with everything in life, some people are willing to spend more than others.
Fun coupon! See that? A fun coupon!
You know, if you think about designer handbags, at the end of the day, it is just a handbag. Like, you don't need to be spending $5,000 on a handbag when you can get one, you know, in a high street store for £30. But everyone puts a value on something. And especially with stuff like art, you know, prices can be very varied, and what you think is worth it is up to you. There is obviously no right or wrong within this. So other than the cost of everything, which to me is the biggest reason why there is a tattoo recession going on now, there are other reasons as to why there is a tattoo recession happening right now. One point that Laura made, the tattoo artist from earlier, in her video about why tattoo artists are quitting, she mentioned the fact that the tattoo industry is very saturated at the moment.
The industry is pretty saturated right now. I think the world in its dog can become an apprentice now.
As a seasoned tattoo client, I have witnessed the tattoo industry change so much over the years that I have been getting tattooed, and from when I was much younger as well. I've always had an interest in the tattoo industry. When I first started getting tattooed, there wasn't the smoke and mirrors and fancy tattoo artists on social media. You discovered tattoo artists through Google, tattoo conventions, Yellow Pages. Yeah, does anyone remember Yellow Pages here? But if you were looking for a tattoo artist or a tattoo studio, you'd look through this directory called Yellow Pages. Or another way of finding tattoo artists was going to your local town, walking around, trying to find tattoo studios. You would then walk into the tattoo studios, talk to the tattoo artist, and look through a physical album of all their work. You would flip through like a photo book, and if you liked what the tattoo artist has made in the past, you would book with them. But if you didn't like the style of the artist's work, then you would close the book and say thank you for your time. You would walk out and then start walking around town again, trying to find other tattoo artists. Back many years ago, you basically had to earn your tattoo before even being tattooed. Okay, you had to walk about and research. Nowadays, it's all in the palm of your hand. Finding tattoo artists is incredibly accessible nowadays. Many years ago, if you wanted to be a tattoo artist, you would have to go through pretty brutal tattoo apprenticeship, and they were like this just so you could prove to your mentors that you are worthy of being a tattoo artist. The tattoo industry is built on tradition, and tattoo mentors wanted to make sure their apprentices were very aware of that, just so then the apprentices can carry on the tradition. Now, as tattoos are becoming more and more accepted and more accessible, more and more people are wanting to become tattoo artists. With that comes demand to already qualified tattoo artists to take on apprentices. With that then comes more tattoo artists that are born, that are fresh and new. And then with that comes more tattoo studios, and then that obviously leads to a higher saturation of tattoo artists within the industry, an industry that was once underground and not that saturated. Now we possibly have far too many tattoo artists with nothing to do because there is another 100 tattoo artists in a small town, and they are all competing for the clients that want to get tattooed or can afford to get tattooed right now. So unless you are a tattoo artist that has a cult following, or you have a very unique style that cannot be replicated, or you're just very good at what you do and you have a loyal client base, you could be very much affected by this cost of living crisis and find yourself sitting in your tattoo booth twiddling your thumbs because you have nothing else to do. I think this is all food for thought. How do you feel about this? Do you think there are too many tattoo artists as of lately? I am seeing more and more people becoming tattoo artists, way more than when I first started doing content creating, and then triple that from when I first started getting tattooed. Another point as to why tattoo artists might be affected by this tattoo recession isn't to do with finances. There are many tattoo clients now aware that you just shouldn't be putting up with tattoo artists' bad behavior. Tattoo clients are now becoming even more aware of what tattoo artists' red flags are, and if a tattoo artist has a bad reputation, then yikes.
People who get tattooed deserve to feel respected, not like an inconvenience by some potential rude white guy who thinks he knows it all.
I refuse to get tattooed these days, and I hate generalizing and stereotyping all tattoo artists, but just from my experience, I thought they were all kind of the same. You know, I always felt like I was an inconvenience being there, even though I was dropping tons, big wads of money. I felt like I was getting made fun of.
What I think about it is that people are just being like very specific about where you're going to get tattoos now. With the internet, we're so thankful that we're actually able to research so many artists, different states, different places, different shops, and just kind of really do like a thorough background check of your artist beforehand. Obviously tattoos are expensive and they're an investment, so really like looking into who you're going to, what kind of environment it is probably what people I see are doing more nowadays.
I think that a tattoo artist's quality of work is equally as important as the vibes and the energy that they are putting out when collaborating with a client. I see a lot of content popping up now about this tattoo recession that's going on, and I just think that it's not really a tattoo recession. I think that the world of tattooing is changing and artists can't treat people like garbage anymore.
Nowadays, you have many content creators coming forward and talking about their tattoo appointment horror stories, and a huge portion of them go viral seemingly overnight. One example, of course, is Tattoogate. I covered Tattoogate from the beginning, and I'm still covering it if and when there are updates. It's a ongoing thing. For those of you that don't know, Tattoogate is basically about this client who went to a tattoo artist and had to spend a lot of money on a consultation fee, a deposit, a design fee, and then within that design fee there was, layers. So one design fee was for one sketch and one alteration or something like that, and then there was number two, which was an even more expensive design fee, but then you could have multiple changes to the sketch. And there was another one where it was very, very expensive. I think it was up to like £6,000, where you could have the design, have multiple different changes, and then the artist was going to do a print or a painting of the design. We then find out that the design that this tattoo artist made was a copy of someone else's artwork, and then because of this TikTok, more people come forward about their experience with this tattoo artist. It was a whole hot mess. But since Tattoogate, there has been a huge increase of people coming forward and talking about their terrible experiences with tattoo artists. I have covered quite a few stories as of late because of this situation going on, the increase. And of course, before Tattoogate, people did talk about their bad tattoo experiences. I've been making tattoo content for many years. I've covered many tattoo horror stories, but there has been such an increase since then, and I truly think this kind of content is very much needed, because many years ago there was no tattoo education whatsoever. Nobody really knew what was right, what was wrong, and now with all of this awareness from social media, it's very, very helpful to clients, especially those that are new to the industry, just fresh 18, getting your first tattoo. Some may argue that this type of content is for attention or for views or clickbait or what have you. And yeah, maybe sometimes, but honestly, like I just said, I think we very much need it. When people get tattooed, they are at their most vulnerable. You are exposing parts of your body. You are trusting essentially a stranger to touch you and scar you for life. It's a very serious deal, and it's something that needs to be taken seriously. Something that I have talked about a lot over the years of making tattoo related content is creepy tattoo artists. Creepy tattoo artists are honestly my biggest hate towards the tattoo industry. There is nothing that makes me more angry than a tattoo artist that just doesn't know how to behave themselves and respect their clients. Sadly, sexual assault throughout the tattoo industry is pretty prevalent. The tattoo industry is a unregulated one. Anybody can be a tattoo artist. Anybody can open up a tattoo studio. These tattoo studios can be private. These tattoo studios can have one tattoo artist in it. And if you add one very creepy tattoo artist with a very vulnerable tattoo client and there's no one else there to hold the tattoo artist accountable, bad things can happen. I mean, bad things happen when there's people around also. Like, it doesn't matter where you are. Like I said, tattoo artists have to touch you to do their job. And while the majority of them are very, very respectful about that and are very aware of the power that they have, some are not. Some will push boundaries and go further than doing what they need to do. And some will go further and push it to assault, whether that be subtle or violent. I don't want to go into too much detail to trigger anyone, but it can range from excessive touching to the violent types of assault. Now, I have been deemed a man-hating feminist for a while now, which is kind of laughable because I willingly lived with a man, so make that make sense. I am just outspoken when it comes to men doing people wrong, because yes, of course, it isn't all men, but all women have a story. Some women have multiple stories. If you hate the facts that I'm spitting, then maybe it isn't hate that you are feeling, but it's actually guilt. In the many years I have been making content about tattoos, I have not once ever made a video or spoke about the fact that a woman tattoo artist has assaulted a client. Not once. I have never had a story like that cross my path, and trust me, if I had, I am a very fair person. I would have made content about it should I need to. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen, I'm sure it does, but male tattoo artists within the tattoo industry, oh, I mean, there are too many stories for me to even cover ever. So many cross my path, it's insane. Male tattoo artists being incredibly inappropriate towards their clients have now led women tattoo artists to open up women-owned and or safe space tattoo studios. There is a huge demand for these types of tattoo studios. There are tattoo studios like this opening up basically weekly at this point, and women tattoo artists are doing this to help tattoo clients that don't feel safe around a male environment, whether they have trauma or not. This issue has been brought up a few times from the content creators that have already been featured in this video.
We're in a certain climate right now where women would rather choose a bear in the woods than a man in the woods. That is heavily weighing on what is happening in the tattoo industry right now, believe it or not. I've seen a couple videos of female tattoo artists who are like, I'm booked out for a year, like there's no recession, and female clients who are like, I'm still getting tattooed, there's not a recession. They're just choosing to not go to certain tattoo artists. Say they've had a tattoo artist for their entire life and they're just done being treated like shit. This is a massive shift that's happening in the tattoo industry, and I don't think most artists are aware, especially the men, who are just like, I've been doing what I've been doing for the last 30 years and now all of a sudden I'm not making money.
Personally, I only see female artists because I feel like they give a better experience. And luckily we are in a time when we are having more female artists than ever in the tattoo space. And not to generalize, but I'm going to generalize and say that I think females in general and then female tattoo artists tend to be more empathetic to their customers. Female artists are creating spaces where it's comfortable for people to get tattoos done in a way that other artists and other shops aren't thinking of. And that's why we see these female-run shops and female artists doing so much better and experiencing zero of this tattoo recession.
As you may know, I am very much for these safe space and or women-owned tattoo studios. I think we need much more of them so everybody has a chance to feel safe in this type of environment. Again, you are very vulnerable when you are being tattooed. And as time goes on, I feel like more and more and more of these types of studios are going to open up. And I feel like the popularity of them and the demand for them is going to be a huge wake-up call for cis straight male tattoo artists who have abused their power for far too long. And of course, it goes without saying, of course, there are some amazing male tattoo artists. I mean, I am very lucky. I have been tattooed by many male tattoo artists and I have never had an issue myself personally. And you know, I am very much aware there are amazing male tattoo artists out there that are so kind and respectful of their clients. These wonderful male tattoo artists should be fine when it comes to this, you know, recession, because their reputation will hold them up. It will be absolutely no drama. They will not be affected. In the tattoo industry, reputation is everything. And if you have a bad reputation, oh boy, with everything that's going on now that I've just covered, that reputation is going to bite you in the arse. And if you have been a bad boy, this is going to affect you so much. And I am so glad about that. Like, your time is up and I am excited to see the downfall, honestly. This of course applies to everyone in the tattoo industry, not just cis straight male tattoo artists. Everyone is going to be affected by their reputation. I would love to know your thoughts and opinions on this tattoo recession. What do you believe is affecting the tattoo recession more? Do you think it's finances? Do you think it's the oversaturation? Or do you believe it is karma finally biting people on the arse? I personally think it's a mixture of everything that I have mentioned. I'm more leaning towards the financial side of things, just because, again, everything is so expensive. Not everyone has, you know, fun money to be getting tattooed right now. But I also fully understand what everyone else is saying about this tattoo recession. You know, tattoo artists can no longer get away with being disgusting, and I am so for it. I have been rooting for this type of movement for years and years and years, and I cannot wait to see the downfall of the creepy tattoo artists. So yes, please do leave your thoughts and opinions down below. I'm very interested in what you have to say about all of this. Let me know your experiences and all of that stuff. I truly do love reading the comments. It's one of my favorite things about making content. So yeah, leave your thoughts and opinions, and that's it for today's video. I just want to say thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you all so much. Make sure you stay safe and well, and until my next video, bye.